You're listening to probably the best fitness and nutrition podcast, where we give you the most important fitness and nutrition advice you will ever need to know. Probably. Make sure to like us on Facebook and Instagram for fitness at Roof Fitness and for nutrition at Stacked Coaching. While you're there, give us a 5-star review, rate, review, and subscribe, and share it with your friends. What up? What's up, everybody? So, you can't see, but Lindsay, right here, Lindsay Gastright,
yes, hello.
One of our best members. No one else get jealous. She has purple Crocs on and orange socks underneath.
Hey, I just kind of go with whatever feels comfortable.
Very Clemson-y.
That was not the desired effect. Comfort was the desired effect.
If you like to wear Crocs with socks, please leave a comment below with a raisey hand emoji.
Oh my
Crocs
God.
with hashtag Crocs and socks. That is not me.
Bradley will come in hard for you next time he sees you at the gym.
You know what? I kind of deserve this. I once broke up with a guy because he wore black socks with sandals. So, this is just full circle.
What have you broken up with a guy over something? Anything like that?
No.
I broke up with a girl because she wore too heavy perfume, and she used to do this thing whenever, you've heard me say this, whenever I walk past her, she'd be like, ooh, but she was like trying to tell me how low, but like, that's how she said it. She might listen to this. There's a possibility.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Okay.
Sorry.
I mean,
you know who you are.
Yikes.
I dated, but I didn't have a lot of serious relationships or that were longer than a couple months. And I feel like for the most part, we were like, this doesn't really work. Bye.
Yeah.
Let's be friends.
I will give the caveat that this was when I was in 5th grade. So,
that's fair.
it was not the most mature part of my life.
You weren't a senior in college like I was.
No, I was.
Well.
There it is.
All right, y'all. Well, we wanted to have Lindsay on the podcast because she has been such a diligent worker with not only her nutrition but her fitness, but her experience in the training world herself is rather interesting. And she happens to be both Sarah and my personal client. We share her.
Lindsay is the, founder of the hashtag Stacked and Jacked.
She is.
Oh, wow.
I heard about that.
I do want to give some credit there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been enjoying the evolution of the hashtag thus far.
I will say, when you were working on that hashtag, Lindsay's husband, Joel, came up to me in the gym and said, Lindsay has been working really hard on this hashtag.
I didn't even know.
Really excited about it.
I don't have a lot going on. So, but no, this is just,
Lies.
It was really important. So I was like, all right, well, I got to make this count.
All right. I like it. So, Lindsay, where does Stacked and Jacked come from?
Oh, so I, you were saying I have been a Stacked client for, I think about a year now.
Yep, we're really close to the year mark.
Which is, you've almost been a room member.
Almost a year. Yeah, so I actually came into Stacked having not been a Rue member. My husband Joel was a member at Rue, and I was like, I don't know.
Those people crazy.
I actually was working out at a different place, and how I described this other workout, it was also a HIIT type workout, and I described that actually as, well, it's harder than Orange Theory, but not as psychotic as CrossFit. And then, so now here I am. I've joined the
Where
craze.
are we
but
on
anyway,
the crazy to hot ratio?
Well,
it's like How I Met Your Mother. We were just talking about
Crazy
this.
to hot ratio, where are we?
I think that
Unicorns?
you're, right smack dab in the middle.
Oh.
We have to find, if you're familiar with How I Met Your Mother, it's, I think, the Jenny Mendoza line. We'll have to figure out if we're above or below.
Okay.
Where we fall on the crazy hot.
I think you're kind of a unicorn, but we'll get into that. So anyway, Stacked and Jacked.
The way it goes is there's the line, right? Like the Mendoza line, right? And it's this curve up here. And most of the time, the less hot you are, the less crazy you are. Mm-hmm. As you are hotter, you get crazier.
Okay.
But there is a small section at the bottom here where they're like 10 out of 10 hot and 0 out of 10 crazy.
Oh.
There's at least probably a 1 or 2 out of 10 on the crazy
They're
scale.
called unicorns.
Yeah. No,
because they do not exist. That's not true. My wife is one.
Oh, there you go.
So are you, Sarah.
So
I just...
In case you aren't watching, I just got a sweet wink out of Bradley.
Oh, man. So where Stackton, going back, where Stackton Jack came from is I came to Sarah after, oh gosh, I think this was, I don't know, at the beginning of May, something along those lines, like right at the beginning of summer. And I was like, hey, I really want to start getting after this. So Stacked and Jacked, summer 2021, here we come. And it's just kind of been snowballing from there.
What made you want to, well, background information. What do you do, Lindsay?
Okay. So I work in the field of sports medicine, and I am a certified athletic trainer. So for those of you who know what that is, awesome. For those
I'm
of
not
you
even
who
sure
don't,
I know what it is. I mean, I know what they do, but I'm not sure what it is. Can you just explain it for all of us dum-dums out there?
So I am a medical professional that is board.
That understands nutrition? What?
Sort of. Board certified, licensed in the state to treat athletes. So similar to physical therapy, except that all of my patients are athletes. So I am in charge of on-field management of injuries, rehab, a lot of prevention goes into it, and we just try to get people back into doing the things that they want to do.
So you were the person that ran on the field when a soccer player flops, lifted up the back of their shirt, and sprayed the hairspray on their back? I mean biofreeze.
Yeah, I guess, sort of. I like to, yeah.
Coach, I need some tape.
Yep. Yeah, I can do some serious damage with tape.
Is there like an age or a sport specifically that you enjoy working with?
So I've kind of had the fortunate opportunities in my career that I've worked with a bunch of different athletes in a bunch of different settings. Sorry.
That's okay.
And I don't know. I like all sports for various reasons. I actually kind of prided myself on the fact that whatever sport I was working with, they never felt like they were the superior sport to another. Like everyone, I treated everyone the same. But yeah, I worked at an all-girls school for 7 years, and that was actually a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be.
What school was that?
So I was an outreach athletic trainer through Tulane at Cabrini High School, and that was just a ton of fun. The girls were really fun.
What did you do specifically for them? Like, did you train them?
No. So athletic trainer is kind of like a misnomer name because a lot of people
them
are
healthy
like,
or get them out of pain?
Right. So usually when I'm getting involved, it's, hey, like I have something happens on the field. So there's an injury, there's a sprained ankle, there's a hamstring, there's whatever. So I work with them to try to minimize the inflammatory effect and then work them slowly to progress them through exercise to get them back into competition. And then two, that's kind of like the acute part of what I do. And then the chronic part is like, hey, I've been having this pain in my back for months and it really hurts and I don't really know why. And then you start going into the whole assessment. And with the girls' school, with all of the high school athletes, really, when you get into that chronic kind of phase, 9 times out of 10, it's because they have some sort of deficiency. They started lifting a lot of weights. They started building the house on not a very good foundation, and there's some asymmetries, and so then you kind of have to back them down to work them back up.
And you've worked with dancers, right?
I have.
Which was super interesting to me.
Yeah. So when I started at Tulane Institute of Sports Medicine, they had this program that they had this dance medicine program. And so I kind of said, ooh, what's that? And through a series of events, I kind of took over the program and rolled with it. So simultaneously, while working at the girls' school, I was also running that program. So I got involved with all things dancer related. And it really ranged. I worked with, professional ballet dancers. I worked with burlesque dancers.
Awesome. Where did you see the most amount of injuries? Like what dancing field?
Gosh, ballet has a lot.
What is the most common
ballet.
injury in ballet? Ankle?
Ankle, a lot of foot injuries, but just like a lot of chronic hip, low back.
Yep.
The lower
Yes.
cross syndrome. I got pretty decent at being like, all right, well, we're going to do these exercises. We're going to do this, this, and this. And then the coolest thing that I thought it was really cool, because I guess I'm kind of nerdy like this, but the Tulane dance department was like super supportive of everything I was doing. I started off with doing like a little injury clinic at the school where I would, hey, like anybody who has an injury or a question can come and talk to me, and then we can kind of go over some exercises. If I need to refer them to the doctor, I can, or get them into formal PT. But then an opportunity presented itself for me to teach a class called Conditioning for Dancers.
Oh, yes.
So that was a 3-credit class where we just kind of went through. I actually brought them through like a conditioning program, a strengthening program, and I had to debunk a couple of misnomers that,
Which ones?
Conditioning and strength will make you big and bulky and not be able to propel yourself across the floor. But what I tried to stress was that nothing that we're going to do in this class is going to do that, because one, we don't have weights, we have bands, and it's a lot of activation, and it's more of like a prevention type thing, which you throw the word prevention around, everyone gets really interested. And we just kind of went through the semester, and I had a lot of kids who really responded well to it. A couple kids who were already in physical therapy were telling me that they were progressing faster through physical therapy because of the supplement work that we were doing in that class.
Did you find that you had more injuries with dancers than maybe like ball athletes?
Chronic, yes, for sure. But really, like, when it all kind of comes down to age and demographic, it's kind of all the same.
Sarah, do you think it's because of, and we've talked about a little bit of this in the past, is it like malnutrition thing plus lack of resistance training?
It's a lot of things. It's, Lindsay kind of touched on this, but growing up, I mean, what is prioritized above all else in terms of physically what you're doing is your flexibility. And so especially if you don't work both sides evenly, you develop some serious imbalances at a really young age. And that leads to a lot of chronic pain later on, specifically in the hips and the low back.
You still deal with that? Less now, but.
Yeah. Now I had more injuries to like my feet and ankles. Because
it depends on the type of dance you're doing and the footwear and the surfaces and all of that.
Yeah, like I still love, like if y'all took me to a classic ballet tomorrow, I would probably cry through most of the performance. Like I just would. I think it's beautiful, but my body did not like when I put all of my body weight and tried to turn and jump on a single square inch. Like that's what point is. Like it just did not jive.
I recently watched my daughter's dance review. Sarah teaches at the school. What's the name of the school? I can't.
Lelia Haller.
There you go. And Sarah's taught there for a while. And I'm like watching them do point. And in my head, I'm like, cringing.
There are a handful of times.
It's beautiful, but I'm like, oh, God.
Where you'll be up there and you jump.
It takes so much strength to be able to do what ballerinas do and what dancers do that it was blowing my mind when I would sit in these meetings and they're like, yeah, we just dance. I'm like, so like there's this whole world of strength and conditioning. Like, let's talk about that a little bit.
I mean, you grow up and you hear things about, I mean, it's totally the myth that lifting weights will make you look a certain way. And as much as I wish it wasn't
It'll make you look sexy as fuck.
Well, yeah, but as much as I wish it wasn't so, there is an aesthetic when it comes to ballet. And it's the same for the men. Like, and I will say in the last like 10, 15 years, I do think you're seeing a lot more of companies including Pilates and things like that, which is really beneficial.
Yeah.
But you have that, and then whether people develop full-blown eating disorders. I think a lot of us had disordered eating because you don't want to be heavy to your partner. Like,
right.
You don't want to be heavy. And on top of it all, I think what makes my own personal, that makes ballet dancers so badass is like any other athlete can make faces when they're in pain and a dancer cannot.
Right.
It is truly remarkable. And I was just in awe of all of the performers and that I got to work with. So I was just, blown away. It was the most fun.
Were you able
situation.
to impact change in that class?
I think so. It was just fun. And I think having the background that I had, I think I was a reliable source of information, and it was just good. It was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of the ball sports, any particular sport that you saw the most amount of injuries?
Oh, goodness.
And was there a discrepancy between female injuries and male injuries, non-contact versus contact? Because I imagine with females, you're going to have more non-contact injuries.
Yeah, so there was a stretch there where I was seeing a lot of basketball ACLs, and that was primarily before the development of the strength and conditioning program
for females, I imagine.
For females,
right.
That the school implemented. So after that happened, we saw a decrease, and it was just like, let's get in the weight room. Let's
age do you think girls should be starting strength and conditioning if they're an athlete, or just period?
Oh goodness. I don't know, probably 13, 14,
mm-hmm.
just kind of, in that age range. I mean, there are a lot of youth programs that are out there now where you're kind of teaching the basics really early. So I don't know. To be honest, I don't know that there's really like an age
We've had as young as 11-year-olds in here. And I know you can go younger. It's just it just depends on.
So there's a
form and technique, and there's no specific thing like.
Right.
I mean, lifting with bad technique will hurt you.
So that's the thing, right? Like if you. So I say 13, 14, like throwing some resistance. Like some weight on. But like
I was going to say 11, 12, we're not really putting weights on bars.
You probably need to learn how to move earlier, because as it goes, as you get older, you develop bad patterning. So if you look at a baby crawl, I mean, my 2-year-old nieces have the best squat form I think I've ever seen before in my life.
On Tuesday, I was out at Jefferson Playground, and I went and Gerald got stuck in Baton Rouge with the weather. So I'm like, I need to get back into running. So I just went out to the track and did my warm-up, ran some hundreds. And there was a local high school football team coming out there for summer, and they have close proximity to that playground. Anyway. I was looking at them, and they were just running back and forth, and I'm like, this is a shit show.
No,
they have no idea how to run. This looks terrible.
So I will say that when it comes to formalized athletics at the youth and adolescent level, you would be shocked. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can see why things are going the way that they are, but sometimes that's just how they're built, and that's just how their body moves, and it's like, all right, well, then you sort of straddle that when you're talking about an injury thing. It's like, all right, well, the nice part about what I did was I was there for every day. So I was there for every practice. I'm there for every game. So I can get to know these kids. I can know their movement patterns. I know where they are. So when they get hurt and you're rehabbing, it's like, all right, well, I know what is the textbook definition of how to run correctly, but what does this kid need? What does this kid look for?
Like in the gym.
Like in the gym.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yeah, I like that transition. I don't want to jump there yet because I am so interested. You messed around with Tulane's football team, right?
When I was in grad school, when I was a GA, yeah.
How was that?
Well, it was fun. It was good. I got some really great opportunities to work with a Division I program, and it was a lot of work on my end.
A lot of people getting hurt.
A lot of people getting hurt. You know, I was talking to Joel about this. I was like, should I mention this? I don't even know. But actually,
yeah, why not?
I was.
You're not employed by Tulane anymore.
I was actually a GA when Mike Henry was an athlete there.
Yeah.
And so
Mike Henry was a Rue member, played offensive line for the Green Wave.
Yeah, so he kind of alluded to in one of the podcasts about their record, and
yeah.
I was running on the field, and so there were probably like, you know, there's a hierarchy of people who are going on the field, and there are probably like 6 people ahead of me. So if I'm running on the field, that means the other 5 people are occupied with something. So
Yeah.
Yikes.
yeah, so it got a little intense there. But,
A little dicey.
You know, I was in very much like a supplemental role to the football team. When I was at Tulane, my primary sports were indoor volleyball, beach volleyball. Fun fact, I was the first athletic trainer with their first ever beach volleyball team, which that year I was super busy because they needed to add another sport to get back up to NCAA standards. Their Katrina kind of probation was up. So the indoor team played beach that next season, but also had to fulfill the indoor requirements in order to play. So I was like, oh my God.
Indoor volleyball sounds like injury heaven.
It was a lot. It was intense.
A lot of jarring motions, right?
Yeah. No, volleyball is pretty extreme. That was my first exposure to working with the volleyball team, and it was intense. And then I worked with swimming, diving, track, field, and cross country, which are 4 different sports.
Yeah. Yeah. Goodness gracious.
Even within running, having track and field versus cross country, it's 2 completely different things.
Exactly. So, and then I also helped out with the women's basketball team, and then, helped out with football.
So you had extensive, strength and conditioning knowledge coming into Rue.
Yes.
Yes. How was your nutrition knowledge?
So I will say that my nutrition knowledge was based on what nutrition needs to be in order to compete on a game day.
Has that changed?
Yes. Yes. So I've learned just a ton, and you really do need to have like an individualized program, because I always say that like there's a team shoe, but there's not always a team foot, and so you get a lot of injuries based on the fact that everyone has to wear the same shoe. So nutrition's the same way. You have, a guide for what it is, but every body needs a different plan.
We talked about it last week. Emily, Sarah, and I up here, we all eat 3 different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, athletics, I hope, is moving towards that direction. I haven't been in the Division I world for a while now. I know that some of the bigger programs probably do have full-time nutritionists and do all that, but I'm not sure.
So when you came to us, remember you said Stacked was first, and what kind of made you want to start Stacked?
So my husband Joel, he came to me one day and was like, "Hey, I think we should, look into doing this." And at that point, we had been in quarantine, so it was like, all right, well, everything that we've been doing is kind of shrunk down to nothing.
Right.
I feel like we're eating a lot, and I was just super uncomfortable in my own skin. For a couple years, I'd been kind of struggling with this up and down type mentality. We dabbled into Whole30 and paleo and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, all right, well, if there's someone else who can be in charge of figuring all this out for me, like, sure, let's give it a whirl. So,
I like that too.
Yeah.
Someone else tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
I can follow directions.
That's why I have Emily.
There you go. So that was kind of our first thing. And then, once we were able to kind of go back to the gym, like I had been working out, like I was going to this class in a different location, but I really wasn't like seeing what it was, and knowing what I know, I'm like, I feel like I should be looking better, losing weight or something.
And you were running a lot at the time, right? Or
Yeah.
had been?
I had been, so yeah, I'd kind of dabble in half and full marathons.
Dabble in.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
I
not
feel
something
like
you dabble
There's
in.
a handful of people that can be like, I dabble in halves, but to be like, I dabble in 26.2 miles of running.
Well, it's always funny because I like sign up for these races. I'm super excited, and then I usually have like a mental breakdown like 2 weeks out from my race. I'm like, I didn't train. I didn't do what I needed to do, and so that's always a fun aspect. But anyway.
So you start. Goal is I want someone else in control of my nutrition. I want to look.
like
I want to look like I work out
the way I do.
I want to look like I work out, and I want to.
By the way, that I feel like we hear that more than anything else when it comes to people why they're joining Stack.
Yeah.
So I want to look like how much I work out.
Right.
Yep.
And just having someone else kind of figure it out was really helpful for me.
What was Lindsay like when she entered in?
I think just super excited. She was so open-minded about just being, well, what are we doing? Why are we doing this? And one thing I have always appreciated is even when things weren't, like a lot of people would have a day or have a week or go on a vacation and things aren't perfect. So they'll just kind of say, screw it,
Right.
and not fill things out, not answer their check-in video, things like that. Lindsay has always been, this is what it is. Or if something is missing, I would get an email or a Voxer ahead of time. Like, this is what happened this week. Here's why it looks the way it does. And by continuing to show up every day, she's seen an incredible amount of progress. Mm-hmm. Like, I think every single body scan we've done has been an improvement from the one prior.
Yeah, I think so. Seeing I was looking at this the other day, seeing my initial weight number and then how it's kind of dropped off, and how I was like, I don't know what it was, like 20. I had like 20 pounds of fat I needed to lose, and I didn't. To see that number on a piece of paper is like, oh wow! I didn't realize that.
It's jarring.
What's
It's
funny
jarring
is-
for people.
Yeah.
When she started, though, I also didn't look at her and necessarily think this person would benefit from losing 20 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Like, I thought, like, okay, 10 to 15 pounds feels reasonable for you. And then she hit that 20-pound mark, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah, no, and that's when, recently I've kind of talked to friends and family about it, and they're like, oh, well, you've never been like big. I'm like, yeah, but like when I had that extra 20 pounds on, like you feel different, you move different, your confidence level is different, all of that is just different, and so I just feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has been like an evolution. I think I've talked to Sarah about this, but it has been an evolution from the point of like, well, let's just see what happens. I don't really know. Like, this is really slow. I don't really know if I'm going to make it. And then it's like, oh, I'm seeing results. And then by the time Stacked and Jack came up, I was like, all right, let's fuck some shit up.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And I love, Lindsay was kind of the first of my clients, and now I'm seeing it with others that hit a point where a lot of people come, they want to see a certain amount of weight loss. They want to look different, feel better. And there comes a crossroads, right? Where you can stay on the path you're on and be perfectly content there, or you have a moment of being like, look at how far I've come. Let's really see what my body's capable of. And neither one is right or wrong. But Lindsay was like, I want to see what can happen now. Like, she can perfectly maintain on her own.
I have people that readjust their goals constantly. Like, oh shit. Like initially, like I've had a client that was 180 pounds and she was like, I want to get to like 165 is good. And then we got to 165 in 12 weeks. And she's like, you think I can get to 150? I'm like, hell yeah.
Yeah,
let's
just keep
roll.
going. It's
know?
nice. It's like a constant like investment in yourself. And then, you know, with my attitude, it was like, all right, well, that was, I mean, it wasn't easy. It was kind of hard. But like, I can do hard things.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good it's a good reassurance. Like, you know, we can keep going.
I love it. Initial reactions on the knowledge presented to you in the beginning when you first joined compared to what you knew heading in?
In terms of nutrition?
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just like, I knew that, you know, eat a colorful plate, simple matters, less processed, that's great. But like the specific numbers and the macros and all that kind of stuff, I was like, oh wow, like, yeah, no, I know that there's science behind this, and like I'm aware of that, but to actually like put it into practice is something that was new for me.
And didn't we go through a whole focus of like, how are you going to get 10s this week?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like to compare our program to a pourover. Whereas, like,
You're so
seriously,
bougie.
you have this coffee, okay, and it's in your filter
yeah.
and your Chemex, all right? And
In your Chemex.
In my Chemex. And I am, like, filling up the coffee filter with water, right? And it's just dripping. And if I pull that Chemex off 30 seconds in, there's not going to be very much coffee. And if I wait 2 or 3 minutes, it's still only dripping at a certain rate, but I'm going to have a full pot of coffee, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the way we filter the information to our clients, it's a slow drip, right?
Yeah.
But over time equals a full pot of coffee.
Yeah, and I always tell people it's not necessarily that it's going to always feel easy, but I don't want you to ever feel like something is unmanageable, and that, 6 months, a year from now, you're like, man, I have completely overhauled so many aspects of my nutrition and my life because of a lot of small, thoughtful changes.
What is the biggest change you made nutrition-wise? Like, what's one thing that stands out to you?
I think just increasing the amount of protein
Yeah.
that I'm eating.
That's like number one. It
like-
blows my mind how so many people eat
And
so
it's
little
not-
protein.
And it's still not super easy for me. Like, I still am like, all right, well, I got 40 more grams of protein to like crush. But I think that was the biggest thing.
Sarah and I open our mouths and like 40 grams of protein just get inhaled.
I have to hold myself back on my protein target for sure.
Yeah.
But that is something we see across the board when people get to a point where they're ready to start tracking macros, because we just start with like, show me what you're doing now.
Right.
Because if I throw numbers at you, I guarantee you're going to freak out.
Right.
And the things we see, I would say 99% of the time, super low protein, and also knowing that most of these people want to look the way they work out. So super low protein, and then the other numbers are like a roller coaster.
Right.
Up and down.
And typically, if it's someone who's done like Whole30 or Paleo or something like that, their fat numbers are through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, because there's no like...
Because
it's just
avocado
like, hey,
is delicious,
right,
and you
like-
can
I
eat
know.
the whole
Well,
thing.
Wait, bacon's paleo? Yeah, I'll have the whole container full.
Right. And I mean,
Container package.
my family's Italian, so I grew up thinking a pound of spaghetti was an appropriate portion to feed, 2 people. And so it's like
maybe once you're stacked and jacked.
I still remember the first time. Go ahead.
My portion control has always been just a little off. So that I can, a piece of bacon's okay, but 6 pieces of bacon, probably not the best.
Yeah, and you've been able to go out of town now multiple times and be really successful with your habits, but still have a really good time on your trip.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's tough. I often see people thinking about the bacon thing where, what'd you eat for breakfast? Well, I had 3 eggs, 4 or 5 pieces of bacon, and half an avocado. I'm like, cool. So you're done with the day for your fat.
Yeah, and that's the
Nice.
thing too.
Good
eggs,
luck.
Eggs is very, very Whole30 friendly and all that, but it's oh no, eggs actually a lot of fat.
A lot of fat.
Yeah.
When you actually start breaking it down and seeing what's in your food, you're like, okay, I can make better choices based on all of that.
Yeah, I love it. So, what I was going to say, we were talking about being Italian. I can remember the first time, I made myself pasta and weighed it. And I was like, I'll just weigh it. I wrote it down. I ate it. Then I plugged it into my fitness pal, and I was like, oh, shit.
There goes 60 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and I mean, it's delicious. And it's, a lot of Italian food is Italian-American food. Actually, in Italy, it's quite different. But it's just delicious and a vehicle for cheese, which is also delicious.
It's a vehicle for cheese.
So, I don't know. It's just retraining what seems intuitive.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so where are we? About a month ago, I came to you because you are an athletic trainer, and I said, hey, this is what we're going to do with the gym. We're talking with Active Life. We're going to introduce this to our coaches. This is going to be the way we start teaching fitness. Here's why, from an injury prevention, buzzword, getting people out of pain and discomfort, we were basically going to become athletic trainers for the average person.
Yeah, without the
certification.
And kind of sport. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, essentially, right? That's the education we provide. That's what we're going to attempt to do.
Right.
You love the idea.
I do. I think it's rare in this world to look at it from that perspective, and for me personally, it's been helpful given a couple of the things that I've been through recently, and it's great.
Yeah. So back it up a little bit. Before that, you were doing this HIIT training that wasn't harder than Orange Theory, but not as psycho as CrossFit.
Well, yeah, it was harder. So I say harder than Orange Theory. Every type of fitness has their benefits, and people really enjoy
Absolutely
it
agree.
and all of that. It just wasn't. It didn't give me the hook that I needed to keep going.
What about Rue gave you the hook when you joined us?
I don't know. It's just fun.
Fun.
It's fun
Yeah.
to lift heavy things and throw some weight around. And
Question, was this something had you and Joel worked out a lot together in the past?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so when he joined right before COVID.
Yeah.
And he was pretty devastated by that. But the remote Rue aspect of it, he would do the workouts. I think we took a medicine ball and some dumbbells and all that up to the beach when we were there, and I was doing some of the workouts with him that he was doing through Rue, and I was like, oh, I can do this.
Right.
And then when we got back, he was coming home and just being like, oh my God, that was so great. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll try.
Yeah, a little FOMO.
Maybe I'll try. And then I came to a class, and it was just hooked from there.
I love it. So what made you decide, and I mean, you had a little bit of a medical issue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say a little bit, but you had a medical issue, and you decided to kind of take me up on my offer to individually design your workouts, customized to you. what was your thought process behind that, and why did you decide to make that leap from group classes to the individualized workouts, which you still do in a group setting?
Right. So based on what happened, I hadn't been able to push myself or work out for a while. And then I was cleared to come back, and knowing what I know and having some self-awareness, I knew that if I step into that first class for that first time, that I was going to want to go from 0 to 100 in 60 seconds, and I was setting myself up for some pretty serious musculoskeletal, amongst other things, injuries kind of moving forward. So I was like, all right, I gotta get ahead of this. Like, I gotta actually like practice what I preach. And so yeah, I sent you a message, and I was like, hey, can we do this?
And that's what's great about the class, but I think even now more so for you, trying to like regain some strength and all right, just tell me what to do.
Yeah, just tell me what to do. Like, you just have to show up. Like, it's already planned out. Just show up and just do it.
How is the first 2? Because you're 2 weeks in, or 3.
There's 3. The first
How
week was kind of testing. It's good. It's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
And
I get
it's
comments all the time because Lindsay submits her workout, and then I get a notification on my phone, and I get to read all of her comments. It's fun.
Yeah, and the bike's just rude.
The bike is rude. So I think it's
I
interesting.
kind of like the bike.
Well, I mean, I say that I hesitate to go into how much I dislike it, because I feel like it'll be programmed more.
Ooh, I'm gonna get in trouble for that. So it's funny because the group classes aren't for everyone, and individualized workouts aren't for everyone.
Right.
And I think it's finding out where you are, what you want to do, and your intention behind it. And for the longest time, and I mean for 8 years, maybe longer, I was against individualized programming. I looked at it as like lacking camaraderie. You're going to split the gym, all these different types of things. And it took my shoulder injury and for me to go through it to be like, maybe this is not what I thought it was.
Yeah, and I think there's also something to be said for you don't have to do just one or the other forever.
I agree.
And if you are in a place where one or the other is more conducive to your goals, then you should do it. And I think whatever allows you to have like a whole health approach to your fitness, just like you do with your nutrition, is the one you should do. And if you know that getting back into group class, you are going to get amped up, and maybe your form might go out the window a little bit so you can lift that heavy weight or run a little faster, then it benefits you way more to slow down and do the movements and get back in touch with your body where it is in that moment.
Right, exactly. And I think that, like, being a medical person, I see, you hear so much coming out of CrossFit, like, it's gonna, this person's gonna hurt their back, or this person's shoulders are all messed up, and like, that's the common theme. But, I would say that often enough, it's because there wasn't necessarily a good foundation. We were doing things that weren't anatomically best for you. And, just kind of looking at it a little bit differently. Actually, the doctor that I work with now, because I switched jobs and I'm in a different setting, so I'm in a clinic. And so we get a lot of patients now who are coming in who are doing CrossFit. And so he's like, oh, Lindsay, like, what do you think? Like, go in there. And before it was like shut it down, don't do it, whatever. And so then I go in and I'm like, all right, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing incline bench press, but we can be doing this instead, and all of that. So it's, it's for certain people, just doing the individualized workouts are more beneficial, and you're going to get stronger, and it's
I think
a little bit better.
It all depends on your intention, right? If your intention is, I want to come in and I want to sweat and have some fun, and get a little bit fitter and a little bit healthier, group class is perfect. If you I have a specific goal that I am trying to reach and I want to get there as fast as possible, or this hurts and I need to get out of it, individualized workouts are better, right? So it all depends on intention.
Right.
But the good news is that we can provide you both, and you can still do the individualized workouts in a group setting, so you don't miss out on that, and you still have the camaraderie.
Yeah. No, it's been good.
Any lasting nuggets for the people at home, Lindsay?
I don't know. Just listen to what your body's telling you. Don't come in with any preconceived notions, and just have fun.
Awesome. All right, y'all.
Get fit, have fun.
Yeah, I love
there
it.
you go.
Appreciate it, y'all. Have a good one. Peace out.
Bye.